7 days before the wedding, I stood outside the banquet hall, watching my fiancée Su Jin exchange vows with her first love. Cheng Yan, heir to a multinational corporation, gazed at me with a sickly expression. I'm sorry, the doctor says I have less than 3 months to live. Could you allow me to fulfill this small wish in my final moments? My father-in-law, who had always treated me like his own son, now spoke coldly. You can see Cheng Yan's condition. Consider it helping him fulfill a dream. Surely you can show this much compassion? Su Jin gently held my hand. Cheng Yan and I grew up together. His life is now hanging by a thread. I can't just stand by and do nothing. I nodded with a smile, realizing that in her heart, Cheng Yan was the irreplaceable one. Su Jin thought I had accepted this absurd proposal, promising me an even grander wedding after Cheng Yan passed away. But she seemed to have forgotten one thing. 3 days ago, she had already exchanged rings with Cheng Yan. And now, I no longer intend to continue with this pretense of a marriage. Today is my wedding day, yet I have become merely a spectator in the audience. My custom-tailored suit still carries the fragrance from the store, but the groom's boutonniere on my chest seems utterly out of place. I sit quietly in the ballroom of the Shangri-La Hotel, watching as Su Jin walks arm in arm with Cheng Yan, slowly proceeding toward the front along with the wedding march. The officiant solemnly announces, the bride and groom will now exchange rings. The ballroom erupts with enthusiastic applause and cheers, as champagne bubbles dance joyfully in crystal glasses. Someone in the crowd jokes, the groom is going to carry the bride to the honeymoon suite. Su Jin feigns annoyance as she glares at the person, but the undeniable joy in her eyes betrays her inner excitement. Cheng Yan cups her face tenderly and says with deep affection, Jin, we finally belong to each other. Su Jin lowered her eyelids, her cheeks blushing, their gazes locked together as if they had forgotten everything around them. Her father raised his champagne glass and announced with a beaming smile, from today onwards, Cheng Yan is part of our family. Take good care of my Jin, you understand? The guests were in high spirits, exchanging toasts and blessings amidst the celebration, while I, like an uninvited guest, was completely out of place in this joyful atmosphere. I smiled self-mockingly and stood up, preparing to leave this farce. Shinemo. Su Jin's voice came from behind as she quickly caught up to me. Where are you going? I turned around with a bitter smile on my lips. When it's time to step aside, one must step aside. Isn't that right? Su Jin's expression instantly turned cold. What do you mean by that? She pulled me to a corner of the banquet hall and lowered her voice. See, didn't I tell you? This is just an act I'm putting on with Cheng Yan. Why don't you understand? Looking at her earnest explanation, I could only find it laughable. A week ago, we were about to go to the registry office to get married, when Su Jin received a call from Cheng Yan. He said he had been diagnosed with a terminal illness and had only 3 months to live. His only dying wish was to complete this wedding ceremony with her. I immediately expressed my objection, but Su Jin was resolute. Cheng Yan and I grew up together. He has helped me a lot. Now that his life is in danger, I can't just stand by and do nothing. Then she unhesitatingly chose to go register her marriage with Cheng Yan. She seemed to forget that I was supposed to be the groom standing at the wedding venue. I wearily rubbed my temples. I'm not overthinking things. I just need some fresh air. At this moment, Cheng Yan walked over, his face showing a sickly pallor. I'm sorry, Shinemo. I was too selfish, ruining your wedding. Perhaps I shouldn't be alive at all. As he spoke, tears began to fall. This pitiful appearance was something he had rehearsed countless times. And every time Su Jin saw it, her heart would soften. Sure enough, she immediately embraced Cheng Yan with concern, then turned to glare at me. Shinemo. Cheng Yan just doesn't want to leave this world with regrets. Why can't you understand him? How can your heart be so cruel? This scene had played out far too many times. Since Cheng Yan fell ill, everything he did was right, while I was forever the insensitive villain. I stopped arguing and just calmly nodded. You're right. I was being too harsh. Any clear-eyed person could see this was a carefully orchestrated performance. But Su Jin seemed like a different person, confronting me in front of all the guests with an unfamiliar tone. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and apologize to Cheng Yan. I didn't touch him. He's putting on an act, I said, suppressing my anger, word by word. Su Jin's eyes turned cold, as if every word I said was a lie. He can barely stand right now. How could he possibly fake a fall? I've made it very clear that this wedding is only to fulfill his last wish. But you? You actually laid hands on a sick person out of jealousy. Shinemo, you've disappointed me terribly. My father-in-law also abandoned his usual gentleness, pointing at me in rage. I was so wrong about you. How could you hurt someone who's seriously ill? Do you have any conscience left? I even considered you my future son-in-law before. Just thinking about it now makes me shudder. Facing their barrage of accusations, I felt the last bit of warmth inside me being completely drained away. The illusion of once being as close as family completely shattered in this moment. The surrounding guests also cast condemning glances at me one after another. This is just accompanying a terminally ill person to fulfill a wish. Why be so petty about it? Exactly. Not an ounce of empathy. How is someone like this worthy of marrying the Su family's eldest daughter? Looking at these people's condescending faces, I could only find it laughable. Of course, they were all relatives and friends of the Su family. Naturally, they would speak in Su Jin's favor. Su Jin coldly looked at me. Shin Mo, I'm giving you one last chance. Apologize to Cheng Yin right now. Otherwise, I will seriously reconsider our relationship. The wedding can be postponed for further discussion. In the past, whenever she used this tone, I would immediately bow my head and admit my mistake. But now, I just wanted to laugh. Because she seemed to have forgotten that just 1 week ago, when she abandoned me and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Cheng Yin, she had already made her choice. Now Cheng Yin was her husband in the legal sense. I spoke calmly. No need to postpone, just cancel it. After saying this, I removed the groom's boutonniere from my chest, letting it fall to the ground, and walked out of the banquet hall without looking back. Behind me came Su Jin's calls, but I didn't stop walking. I thought letting go would be painful, but at this moment, my heart was unusually calm. From now on, Su Jin would no longer be part of my life. Walking out of the hotel, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Su Jin. I'm sorry, I was too emotional just now. Don't be angry. I gave a cold laugh. It was too late. When she chose to stand by Cheng Yan's side in front of everyone, we were already over. A moment later, another message came. After Cheng Yan passes away, I will definitely give you an even grander wedding. Recalling the night when my proposal was successful, I was so excited I couldn't sleep, dreaming about our future. But now, looking at this message, my heart was still as water. Su Jin's future has nothing to do with me anymore. She can marry whoever she wants. Taking a deep breath, I sent a message to my mentor in Shanghai. Senior, I'm ready to take on that project in America. He quickly replied, finally made up your mind? I've been waiting for you to say this for a long time. When can you come? Anytime. Great. The project team is meeting in 3 days. Come directly then. I agreed without hesitation. Once, for Su Jin's sake, I gave up the opportunity to develop my career in America. Thinking about it now, it was utterly foolish. My mentor arranged to discuss details with me the day after tomorrow and to see me off. After ending the call, I took a taxi home to pack my luggage. When I pushed open the door, I saw Cheng Yin lounging lazily on my leather sofa, with imported snacks spread out before him. My father-in-law was smilingly peeling cherries for him. Here, Cheng Yin, try these air-shipped from Chile. I frowned deeply. Why is he here? My father-in-law's expression changed instantly. This is now Jin's home, and my daughter can invite whoever she wants. He stood with his hands on his hips, assuming the posture of the owner. As for you, weren't you acting so tough at the wedding? Why are you slinking back here now? If you don't apologize to Cheng Yin, don't even think about stepping through this door. Looking at the scene before me, I could only feel the irony. When my father-in-law's business failed, I didn't hesitate to let him move into my house. This villa was given to me by my family, and I had promised to transfer the deed to Su Jin after we got our marriage certificate. But they seemed to have forgotten that Su Jin had already registered her marriage with Cheng Yin, and this house still belonged to me. I walked straight into the house, ignoring their shouting. My father-in-law flew into a rage, slapping the coffee table. How dare you? This is no longer a place where you can come and go as you please. Just as he was about to explode, the scent of perfume wafted in from the doorway. Su Jin stood at the entrance with several luxury shopping bags, looking at the tense scene, and sighed softly. What are you arguing about again? Those shopping bags printed with Hermes and Gucci logos contained exclusively men's items. It was obvious who they were prepared for. Father-in-law immediately put on a pitiful expression. It's all because of Shun Mo, causing trouble as soon as he returns, refusing to let Cheng Yin stay here. How has this child become so inconsiderate? Su Jin put down the shopping bags, her tone leaving no room for argument. Cheng Yin grew up in an orphanage, and now he's seriously ill. He's finally found a sense of home, and I can't watch him bear this burden alone. She spoke as if it were perfectly reasonable, as if I had to accept this decision. The old me might have argued with her until dawn, but at this moment I just felt indifferent. Whatever makes you happy. My calmness clearly caught her by surprise, and she paused. You don't object? What's there to object to? I chuckled softly. Since this relationship has already ended, it doesn't matter who she lives with. Just that this villa will soon no longer belong to them. Back in the master bedroom, I began packing my luggage. The room was filled with our memories, photos together under the Eiffel Tower, seashells from the Maldives, the scarf she knitted by hand. Most prominent was the crystal music box on the desk, which we bought after attending a Mozart concert in Vienna. Once these were priceless treasures, now they're nothing but irony. I swept everything into cardboard boxes. Su Jin pushed open the door, and seeing me pack away the music, See box. Her expression suddenly changed. How could you throw this away too? That's from when we were at the Golden Hall. Let the past stay in the past. I continued packing without looking up. She bit her lip, her tone softening. If you're angry about Chung Yin, we can talk about it. I'll ask him to move somewhere else, okay? Ever since Chung Yin appeared, we've been arguing constantly. Every time she took a firm stance. But now, she was showing rare vulnerability. Unfortunately, it was all too late. My heart had already grown cold. After I finished packing, Su Jin finally noticed the wound on my arm, her expression changing. You're bleeding? Ironically, she only noticed it now. Just a small cut. I replied indifferently, preparing to leave. She grabbed my hand. Don't go. I'll get the first aid kit. In that moment, memories flashed back. The Su Jin from before used to care for me deeply. If I showed the slightest discomfort, she would worry to the point of losing sleep. But after Chung Yan came, everything changed. Help! Suddenly, Chung Yan's cry came from the living room. Su Jin immediately let go of my hand and rushed out without looking back. When I pushed open the door, I saw the intimate scene of Chung Yan leaning against Su Jin's leg. Jing, I just wanted to make you a cup of coffee. He feigned weakness while showing his fingers that had no marks at all. Su Jin worriedly held his hand. Don't move, I'll get the medicine. Chung Yan glanced at me, his eyes flashing with smugness. Jing is so good to me. Mr. Shin must be jealous, right? Only then did Su Jin remember my presence, hastily explaining. His immune system is very weak right now. I need to treat his injury first. I gave a cold smile. Don't bother. My father-in-law immediately mocked. People like Shun Mo have thick skin, not worth caring about. Besides, he pushed Chung Yan, he deserves it. Hearing these words, my heart turned cold. Back when his capital chain broke, I gave up my opportunity on Wall Street to stay and help him. Now in his eyes, I had become a useless person living off the Su family. Chung Yan suddenly grabbed a fruit knife, threatening to harm himself. Does Mr. Shin think my life isn't valuable enough? Su Jin snatched the knife away and glared at me. Are you only satisfied if you drive him to death? I picked up my luggage and turned to leave. I hadn't planned to stay anyway. What do you mean by this? Su Jin grabbed me. We're breaking up, I said calmly. Looking at their arrogant faces, irony welled up inside me. They had no idea that they would be the ones homeless very soon. The day I left, I made two decisions. First, I contacted a real estate agent and listed this luxury mansion in the city center for sale. Surprisingly, in less than half a day, a buyer inquired. Hello, Mr. Shun. We're very satisfied with the house, but we heard there are still people living there. Just follow the normal procedure. If they refuse to cooperate, call the police directly, I replied calmly. In the time that followed, I handled the property transfer procedures while giving myself a vacation. All these years, in order to take care of my father-in-law's business, I've traversed nearly every corner of the financial world, yet never properly seen this city. I checked into a hotel near the financial center, spending days at the company handling work transitions and evenings strolling through neon-lit streets, rediscovering this city that was both familiar and strange. During this time, Su Jin kept sending messages. Shinemo, stop being stubborn, come back, okay? I ignored them. There's a new Michelin restaurant on the bond. Shall we go try it together? At first, her tone still carried a hint of tenderness, as if coaxing a child throwing a tantrum. Gradually, her patience wore thin. What exactly do you want? I've already apologized. Do I need to get on my knees and beg to satisfy you? Shinemo, can you stop being so childish? She still believed I was the one at fault, that I was making a fuss over nothing. And her so-called apology was nothing more than a perfunctory gesture of charity. Since that's the case, I might as well let go completely. 3 days later, the real estate agent sent a message. The property paperwork has been completed, and the new owner requests immediate possession. According to the agent, when he brought the buyer to view the house, my father-in-law was directing the servants to pack up Chung Yan's belongings. Upon learning that the house had already changed hands, he fainted on the spot. After regaining consciousness, he immediately picked up the phone to call a lawyer, threatening to sue me for illegally occupying his property. Only when the police presented all the legal documents did he finally come to his senses. In the end, at the police's request, they had no choice but to pack up and leave. Hearing this news, I felt no ripple in my heart, and simply replied with a flat, okay, I understand. I was about to leave for overseas, and their future would have nothing more to do with me. Before my departure, my old colleagues from the investment bank held a farewell party for me. Amid the clinking of glasses, everyone raised their cups. Director Shun, don't forget to help your brothers out when you get to Wall Street. That's right, we're all waiting for Director Shun to lead us to fortune. I smiled and shook my head. Cut it out. My boss patted my shoulder. With your abilities, it won't be long before you can stand on your own. Just as we were raising our glasses, the door to the private room was suddenly pushed open. Su Jin and Chun Ji-yin stood at the doorway with my father-in-law. Su Jin's eyes were red. Shinemo, did you really sell the house? She looked at me in disbelief, as if she didn't recognize the stranger before her. My father-in-law was furious. How dare you? Shinemo, what right do you have to sell my house? The atmosphere in the room instantly froze. My colleagues exchanged awkward glances, clearly not expecting to encounter such a scene. My boss frowned and looked at me. Shinemo, what's going on? My father-in-law stepped forward with a grim face. I'm his father-in-law. You must be Shinmo's boss, right? Seeing my boss nod, my father-in-law immediately put on an aggrieved expression. Please, you must help us get justice. This ungrateful wretch sold our house just because he had an argument with my daughter. Now our whole family is homeless, while he's here enjoying himself, drinking and feasting. Cheng Yin also chimed in at the right moment. Mr. Shun, I know you dislike me, but you shouldn't take revenge on Su Jin's family like this. That house belongs to the Su family. What you did is illegal. My father-in-law seized the opportunity to complain to my boss. You see what kind of person he is, malicious and vindictive. It's better to fire someone like him as soon as possible, to avoid causing trouble for your company. My boss turned to me, his brows furrowed. Shin-mo, what exactly is going on? I gave a cold laugh. It's simple. I'm planning to develop my career in the United States, so I sold my own house. Is there a problem with that? Bullshit. My father-in-law reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. That house clearly belongs to our Su family. This is fraud. I'm calling the police right now. As he spoke, he took out his phone and started making a call, while shouting loudly. Where is justice? Our Su family has treated you well, yet you repay kindness with enmity. You've caused our entire family to become homeless. Doesn't your conscience hurt? His commotion attracted diners from the hallway who gathered around. Some people began to point and comment. This young man is too cruel, kicking his father-in-law out of the house. People these days, truly a moral decline. Seeing everyone sympathizing with him, my father-in-law became more energized. Shin-mo, I order you to return the house to us immediately. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can't survive in the financial sector. I calmly pulled out the property deed from my briefcase. You say this house belongs to the Su family. Do you have any evidence? My father-in-law replied righteously. You said it yourself, that after you and Jin got your marriage certificate, you would transfer the house to her. Su Jin's face suddenly turned pale. My father-in-law, completely oblivious, continued urging. Jin, take out the property deed. Su. Jin stammered. Dad, this. I turned the property deed to the key page. No need to look for it. The property deed is right here. Take a look. Whose name is written on it? The people around gathered to look, immediately buzzing with discussion. So it's actually this young man's own house. What's going on? Didn't the old man just say it was his family's property? My father-in-law's face turned ashen. Impossible. Didn't you say you would give the house to Jin? I displayed a sarcastic smile. Yes, but the prerequisite was that we had to get our marriage certificate first. Why don't you ask your precious daughter if she ever got a marriage certificate with me? My father-in-law was thunderstruck, staggering back 2 steps, staring intently at Su Jin. You didn't get a marriage certificate with Shun-mo? Su Jin kept her head down, not saying a word. Cheng Yin quickly stepped forward to support my father-in-law, who looked like he might collapse. Dad, Su Jin finally spoke. That day, Cheng Yin said he didn't have long to live, and his last wish was to marry me. I felt sorry for him, and went with him to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Later, I was busy preparing for the wedding, so I didn't have time to tell you. Father-in-law's face turned pale. Absurd. This is absolutely absurd. Only then did I understand that father-in-law had always thought Su Jin and I were legally married, and Cheng Yin was just putting on an act. He thought I was firmly tied down, which was why he dared to treat me so recklessly. He never expected to be so harshly slapped in the face by his own daughter. Everyone in the private room now understood what was going on. Some were enjoying the drama, while others cast sympathetic glances my way. Father-in-law's attitude suddenly made a complete 180-degree turn, forcing a smile. Oh my, so that's what happened. It's all because of my poor memory, causing such a big misunderstanding. He walked toward me enthusiastically. Shin-mo, it's all my fault. Please don't hold a grudge. I stepped back with a cold smile. I knew clearly that he wasn't truly remorseful. He was just afraid of losing this multi-million-dollar mansion. If I had really transferred the house to Su Jin back then, he would definitely be showing a completely different face right now. My father-in-law tried to come closer, but I directly avoided him. He didn't seem embarrassed at all, but instead had a face full of smiles. Shin-mo, young people, who doesn't have arguments? Just forgive Jin this once. We're all family. Why hurt our relationship like this? I took out my household register from my bag, opening it to the personal information page. Mr. Su, please look clearly. My marital status is single. We are not family. My father-in-law was left speechless by my retort, but he didn't dare to lash out. Wit. Out this house, they wouldn't even be able to stay in the city center. He turned around and glared fiercely at Su Jin. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and apologize to Shinemo. Su Jin bit her lip, hesitating to speak. Seeing this, Chang Yin tried his old trick again. Uncle, it's all my fault. I'll leave right away so that CEO Shin and Jin can reconcile. Unexpectedly, the father-in-law who had treated him like his own son just a moment ago now sneered. So you do know it's your fault. If it weren't for you insisting on having a wedding, would our family have ended up in this situation? Get out. Get out right now. Chang Yin's face instantly turned pale, never expecting his father-in-law to say such things. Having lost both parents as a child and being in poor health, he had always relied on Su Jin's support. If he left Su Jin, he wouldn't even have a place to stay tonight. Seeing his father-in-law's face change faster than turning a page, Chang Yin could only lower his head in silence. I coldly observed this farce, impatiently waving my hand. If the show is over, please leave and don't disturb our meal. A flash of displeasure crossed Su Jin's eyes. Shin-imo, even if there's a rift between us, you shouldn't speak to my father like that. I sneered. Miss, may I ask in what capacity you're lecturing me? Su Jin was stunned. In the past, I had always indulged her and had never spoken with such a cold tone. The way I looked at her now was as if I were looking at a stranger. Her eyes reddened. Shin-imo, do you have to take things to the extreme? I couldn't be bothered to waste more words with her and directly dialed the hotel security. If you don't leave now, I'll have to call the police, I said coldly. Seeing that neither soft nor hard approaches worked, my father-in-law fell to his knees, with snot and tears flowing. Shin-mo, you can't do this to us. Without the house, where will we live? Whatever, it has nothing to do with me. Please leave now, we need to discuss business. I coldly closed the private room door. Outside, my father-in-law's curses could be heard, saying I didn't respect the elderly or care for the young, and had no regard for human relationships. Soon, security arrived and removed all three of them from the hotel. I had given them the chance to maintain their dignity, but they refused to take it. Peace returned to the private room, but the meal had already lost its flavor. Manager Wang looked at me somewhat awkwardly. I had no idea you were dealing with this kind of situation at home. Other colleagues expressed their sympathy. That old man is really something else, wasted all those years of his life. Indeed, Manager Shin gave them his heart and soul, and this is how they repay him. Don't think too much about it, Manager Shin. You're about to move T. Oh, a new city anyway. Time for a fresh start. I felt a warmth in my heart. These colleagues, mere acquaintances, understood how to empathize, while my soon-to-be father-in-law and Su Jin, whom I'd known for years, repeatedly stabbed me in the heart. I tilted my head back and downed a glass of alcohol. Let the past be the past. From now on, I'm letting everything go and focusing on my career. Manager Wang patted my shoulder. Well done. After several rounds of drinks, I was already feeling tipsy, stumbling out of the private room, just wanting to get back to the hotel to rest. Just as I walked out, Manager Wang suddenly nudged my arm, gesturing toward a direction. I turned to look and saw Su Jin standing alone in the cold wind. The late autumn night carried a bone-chilling coolness, and her thin clothes trembled in the wind. Seeing me come out, her furrowed brows relaxed. Shin-mo, can we talk? Her tone was gentle and cautious. I struggled against my drunkenness. What is it? Perhaps my cold attitude hurt her, as her eyes reddened again. Shin-mo, do you have to speak to me like this? Once in my eyes, Su Jin was the brightest star, and I was willing to be the sword-bearer who protected her light. I carefully nurtured her every emotion, afraid she might suffer even the slightest grievance. And now, Su Jin sensed that the once completely devoted Shin-mo was gradually drifting away, and this loss of control made her anxious and uneasy. So she was willing to wait for an hour in the cold night just to see me. Shin-mo, my father hasn't been feeling well lately. That's why he was so agitated. Please don't take it to heart. Listening to these words, I found them utterly absurd. Just because he wasn't feeling well, he could trample on my dignity and humiliate me in every possible way. Since she was still making excuses for them, there was no point in continuing this conversation. I turned to leave, but Su Jin quickly blocked my way. Shin-mo, I know you have reservations because of the Chang Yin incident. Give me a chance to explain properly. I stopped in my tracks, thinking that I was about to leave this city anyway. I might as well clear things up to prevent her from pursuing me in the future. All right. Su Jin looked relieved and immediately took out her phone to make a reservation. Just then, her phone suddenly rang. After answering and exchanging just a few words, her face instantly turned pale. Shin-mo, Chang Yin has been hospitalized with a sudden high fever. I need to go see him right away. Can I explain everything to you another day? Before she even finished speaking, she had already hailed a taxi and left without looking back. I stood there, watching the taillights of the taxi disappear into the night, a bitter smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. Ever since Chang Yin fell ill, whenever he had the slightest issue, Su Jin would drop everything, including me. and rushed to his side without hesitation. Perhaps Su Jin did love me, but in her life, I would never be her first priority. If that was the case, letting go was the best choice. The night sky was gloomy, as if it was about to rain. The cold wind, carrying moisture, slapped against my face as I tightened my coat and turned toward the hotel. The next morning, I boarded a flight leaving the city where I had lived for nearly 10 years. Leaving everything from the past below the clouds, I threw myself completely into work. With Director Wang's support, I quickly established myself in the new branch office and secured several major projects. The company's performance soared, and I was exceptionally promoted to vice president. During this time, Su Jin kept sending me messages. First were photos of Chung Yen lying in a hospital bed. He was emaciated beyond recognition, with protruding cheekbones, sunken eye sockets, and his bald head making him look even more gaunt. I had always thought he was just acting to gain sympathy, but I never expected he was truly terminally ill. Su Jin stayed at the hospital day after day to take care of him. The doctor said he had at most 3 months left. She sent me an apologetic message. Shin-mo, I was too selfish and ignored your feelings. Could you give me a chance to make it up to you? She also sent a video of her father. After losing their house, they had to move back to the urban village. The environment was terrible, and my father-in-law's leg condition relapsed, leaving him confined to a wheelchair. In the video, my father-in-law was in tears. Shin-mo, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have treated you that way. Please come back and marry Jin Jin. Even Chung Yen sent a message. I'm sorry, I've done too many despicable things. I don't have much time left. Please don't hold a grudge against the dying man. Jin Jin truly loves you. Looking at these messages, I just smiled faintly. My relationship with Su Jin was over. Whether they hated or loved me, it had nothing to do with me anymore. I just wanted to focus on my own life. I thought I would never see Su Jin again in this lifetime. Until this day, when my assistant came to me with an awkward expression. Mr. Shun, there's a woman downstairs who keeps crying and insists on seeing you. I frowned as I followed him out, and found Su Jin standing there holding a pile of gifts. The moment she saw me, her face lit up with a smile, and she opened her arms wanting to embrace me. Shin-mo, I've missed you so much. I stepped back, avoiding her embrace. How did you find this place? Su Jin didn't seem embarrassed at all, instead showing a sweet smile. I asked Mr. Wang to help me find your new company. I really missed you. I hadn't expected her to follow me to a city tea. As far away. It was during lunch break, and many colleagues passing through the lobby cast curious glances our way. Is that Mr. Shin's girlfriend? I never thought Mr. Shun was hiding such a beautiful girlfriend, but it looks like they might be arguing. The whispers reached my ears, making me frown deeply. Please don't come here again. It affects my work. I said coldly. Su Jin acted as if she hadn't heard me, still maintaining her gentle smile. I know you're still upset with me, so I'll prove myself through actions and make you accept me again. From that day on, Su Jin began a crazy pursuit. Every day, she would deliver carefully prepared meals for all 3 meals, and regularly send my favorite coffee and snacks, each package adorned with heartfelt notes she wrote by hand. My colleagues all said I was lucky to have such a thoughtful ex-girlfriend. But far from being touched, I found it extremely annoying. Her actions were seriously disrupting my normal life. I instructed security to be vigilant and stop her immediately if they saw her. All those meticulously prepared foods and gifts, I threw them all in the trash. Yet Su Jin, as if possessed, continued to send them day after day. She texted me. If you don't see me for a day, I'll wait for a day. If you don't see me for a lifetime, I'll wait for a lifetime. Left with no choice, I finally agreed to meet her. Su Jin was overjoyed. I knew you wouldn't really ignore me. Let's meet tomorrow noon at the bottom of your office building. I'll be there without fail. The next day at noon, I waited at our agreed meeting place. I waited from noon until the first lights of evening, but never saw her. Just as I was about to pick up my phone to ask, I saw a post she had made on social media. In the photo, Su Jin was holding Chun Yan's urn, kneeling on the ground and sobbing uncontrollably. The caption read, "Without you, what meaning is there in living?" I calmly opened the settings and blocked her completely. Even though Chun Yan had passed away, he still held the first place in her heart. It's for the best. Since we were destined to part, it's better to sever all connections. From now on, you and I are just strangers passing by in the sea of humanity. Su Jin, goodbye. Never to meet again. I threw myself completely into work, and half a year quickly passed. The company flourished, and I was promoted to head of the branch office, about to go overseas to develop new markets. Before leaving, Director Wang invited me. You're about to go abroad. How about we get together when you return? I nodded with a smile. Sure. Returning to familiar grounds, everything seemed both familiar and strange. On the way back from the airport, the car passed through a dilapidated urban village. Years ago, it was here that I first met Su Ji and her father. In a daze, I saw an elderly man with white hair slumped in a wheelchair in front of a rundown single-story house. He looked withered, his gaze vacant, having completely lost his former vitality. A woman was preparing a simple lunch beside him, plain rice porridge and modest side dishes, a scene of desolation. The old man suddenly saw me through the car window, his trembling finger pointing in my direction, his lips moving as if trying to say something, but no sound came out. The woman gently scolded him about something, pushing the wheelchair back into the house. No one noticed that, in the moment she turned away, a glistening